infrastructure got developed in new Rajkot, and those who migrated, they are enjoying the fresh breeze and no pollution and stuff like that. Uh, Similarly, like those who migrate to the digitization, they will also are going to enjoy the better margins, better visibility, better business, better future, better sustainability. There is no doubt about it. But yes, of course, like it's a very broad term. We need to understand how exactly an SME or an industry or a business service industry, how they would be transforming themselves digitally, how they'll be, how their components are connected digitally, how they're connected with external world, and how best this can be done, because everything will end or add into your cost of this transition. So I think Viral Bhai, I have seen his profile, and if when I see some profiles, uh, you feel that if this person is there physically here, you meet and you discuss for a longer period of time. I think Viral Bhai's profile is one such profile, and I request him that whenever he is coming to this part of Gujarat, Rajkot, please give us some time. If you are traveling to Ahmedabad, we'll make sure that you are in Rajkot, and please come personally to see how the city is doing. Maybe we can use your experience. So with that note, I hand it over to Forum and Viral Bhai, and request all the participants to ask as many questions as possible, because this opportunity you may not get so frequently to connect with a person or experience a seasoned professional, IT professional, I would say, like Viral Bhai. So welcome you all. Over to Forum and Viral Bhai.
Thank you, thank you. This time I asked Nilesh bhai to give the introduction, and before that I always say, while we started this series, I always have mentioned that I find a silver lining here, that because we have started the series and we are going a slightly different way, we have a very small bunch of people, but a very interested and class bunch of people. Like we 12 people would be very much interactive, and would gain much more we can from this 1 hour of interaction uh, from the expert we have today. So yes, Nilesh bhai.
Thank you, Forum. Thank you, Parag bhai. I've been assigned the job of introducing Viral bhai, who really doesn't need introduction. I'm sure his words and his presentation will speak for itself, but all the same, I will do the honors. But before that, I would like to just comment upon, as Parag bhai rightly said, those who get on to the digitization bandwagon earlier, the better. The fact is that we all are onto it. There's no escaping it. There's no way you can escape it. So everybody is doing it. The question is, are you doing it the right way? Are you doing it systematically? Are you doing it in a manner such that your data is future ready? Is your system past sensitive? In a very smooth kind of transition, which such that in future also, when further changes and all are required, will your systems be able to sustain the changes that will come in the future? I think these are my thoughts on it, but I'm sure Viral bhai will be able to bring a lot more on the table. Viral bhai is a tenured business IT professional, having held leadership positions in organizations like Gartner, Wipro, Suzlon, Irwin Mills, L&T, and General Motors. He has led strategic initiatives and firmly believes in using technology for sustainable transformation programs. He's now devoting time in nurturing a boutique consulting firm, Digizen Mal Consulting, which aims to provide high impact consulting services to CEOs and help them define and drive digital pursuits. He believes that technology has to be made simpler to understand. Only then it will be appreciated and leveraged for business advantage. He delivers such demystifying talks at business schools, to Big Four teams, and to the technology curious CXOs. He has an engineering degree from MSU Baroda and has acquired skills in business entrepreneurship from EDI and strategic management from Jack Welch Management Institute. Viral bhai, over to you. We are blessed to have you here.
Thank you so much, Nilesh Bhai, and thank you everyone. Thank you, Parag Bhai, for this wonderful hospitality and introduction. Yes, I would first share my screen and then we'll get going. Just give me a moment, please. Just, I don't know, the screen is stuck in the matrix. Sorry for this.
Not to worry.
Just give me a moment. I don't know why this is totally stuck.
It is.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I was talking to Forum and we were just discussing that the most trending statement of 2020 is going to be, am I audible and visible? You know, that's how people start. Okay? So good day to you all. It's my privilege to speak through this platform of RMA. Today we will take a non-technical journey in the world of technology. You know, whatever we are going to speak for, listen and speak for next 1 hour is actually compilation of my experience while dealing with transformation projects and my interactions with the like-minded and thoughtful CEOs about what they think about digital. As we all know that today, whether we love it or hate it, digital has taken over our life. Till some time back, it had occupied our personal space. That means on a personal level, we were heavily engaged with all digital platforms and work remained in its own conventional style. But now, and why work remained in its own style? Because work scenario was living in its own illusionary frame of mind that everything is hunky-dory. Now come this great COVID and digital swept us. It took us off the deluge and helped us stay afloat. Can you imagine if we didn't have technology, then we would have no way to sustain businesses, whether you are a conventional business or a new age business. So today I'm going to demystify this digital transformation, what it means, why it is there, why we need it, and how to take it up. And especially for the CEOs of SMEs. Okay, when I talk to various people about why digital transformation has not actually picked up so much into people's mindset, there are two reasons. One is large organizations have a very heavy organization structure, which have very dedicated people managing their IT and digital transformation. And when you have too many people, you know, it creates silos and power centers. That also adds to the friction. And small organizations, they have very bare minimum skeletal staff, which is only good enough and overwhelmed with the day-to-day run state operations. So they don't have any bandwidth to take up digital transformation. So this wide gap is there. So the only way to take it further is for leaders like you, the CXOs, the CEOs, who need to take digital into their mindset, because top down is the best way to take it further. So my aim is to demystify this word, and let's go in this journey together. I don't need to explain more about me, but yes, one thing which I wanted to tell you is that while you can share my coordinates, which I'm always available for any discussions, one unique thing which I thought that I had not known and now I have realized is that I have this experience of managing all sides of decision making table of our IT leader. So I have been a CIO where I consume services. I have been a client partner in IT companies where I provided services. And I have been an advisor in consulting companies where I have advised which services to consume and which to sell. So that gives a 360-degree perspective. And that unique experience, if it is going to be useful for all of you, I think I will be very happy. So we start with this first slide. And I'm sorry, because on this digital platform, I'm not able to gauge everybody's physical emotions and expressions. But so what I would do, I would continue with my talk because I'm only able to see the screen. And if you have any pressing point, you just please raise your hand or interrupt me. I'm ready to take these questions. Otherwise, at the end of the session, which I would just take it fast, we will devote more time to interact and take it up, whatever way is comfortable to you, right? So digital transformation is a journey. I still call it a journey. It has not reached its destination. Reason, everybody is struggling to take the advantage of digital to the best business advantage. Some people are fancying with some good technologies, but that's not called transformation. That's called cosmetics. It doesn't lead a good business outcome. So, and I would say that it's like that London hop on, hop off bus. You can board anytime, get down anytime, nothing is lost. And still it's called a journey, right? So point is, this is where we are at the state of affairs. And I'm not talking of India. I'm not talking of SMEs. I'm talking of world trends. There are people who are mature, but the fact remains is everybody is on a journey. So background wise, if you see, technology is driving the pace of change. No denial of that fact. VUCA warrants the agility in business decisions. Now, you know, VUCA, that's volatility, uncertainty, chaos, and ambiguity. That's the new normal. Now, when your world is VUCA, which means businesses can't think of 5-year plan. They talk of what is called QSQT, quarter se quarter tak, right? So if you have such a volatile and uncertain environment ahead, your organization must have an agility to quickly change the course. Okay. There is also change in customer behavior and expectation. Now customers demand things on the fly, and their happiness and sadness is also a click away. Now, so which means organizations have to have their deliveries which are efficient, innovative, and responsive. So organizations have to now look at technology-led solutions to solve business problems. Now, traditionally, you know, what has happened is large organizations always looked at assets to solve business problems, and digital natives, or what we call the new age organizations, used to look at technology to solve business problems. Now trends are changing, where even large organizations and SMEs are first looking at the technology solutions to even solve their business problems, and that's a welcome move. Okay. Yes. So a little background. I'm sure you are all aware of the various industrial revolutions. The 18th century, we saw the coal and steam engine. It was also the beginning of mainstream banking. 19th century, we had electricity, the gas-powered combustion engines, which means it started automation. The 20th century, we saw transistors, semiconductors, silicon, which was actually the seeds were sown for digitization. Okay, and come the 21st century, which is we call Web 2.0, dynamic web presence. And here we talk of Industry 4.0. I'm sure all of you would have heard of Industry 4.0. We will touch base a little bit during this time, but which in simple terms means there is an integration between manufacturing and IT. And there is now a cohesive coexistence. Now, unfortunately, we might not live up to 2100 to see the next wave because things are going so fast. Technology is actually influencing the socio-economic landscape, and digital also influences how we change the way work is done. So convergence of digital and physical is happening very fast. People are realizing a balance point, and that's what is going to be the next transformation, which we call digital transformation. So enough of this term. There are various variants of digital. I'm sure you would have heard these terms in different forms. I'm just trying to decipher and make it simple for you. So sometimes people talk of digitization. So what is digitization? It's actually converting your analog processes into digital. So you have some process which is a paper process. You create a software program and automate it. That's simple digitization. That's not digital transformation. A lot of IT guys already do that. The next is what is called digitalization. I hope you've heard of this term as well. Now here, use of digital technologies to expand your functional capabilities. So imagine your organization already has an ERP, which means all your finance functions are automated and you run a package and then everything is going on system. Now, if you want to increase the efficiency, then you might use some new technologies like RPA, which is robotic process automation, and all invoice processing can be automated. There are a lot of back office operations which do these type of works. So using new age technologies to extend the capabilities of your digitization is called digitalization. And the third, which is what is going to be our favorite talk today, digital transformation. Here, it means coordinated digitization at scale for a business outcome. So when you undertake a journey which has a business outcome in mind, and when it is a coordinated efforts between various entities, including various departments, then it is called digital transformation. A one-off siloed pursuit of digitization is never called digital transformation. We need to develop what is called a digital first mindset. I hope I tried to make this thing little clearer to you as we go further. So now let's decipher this term called digital transformation. See, it consists of two distinct words, digital. Now, digital is not something new to you. It is zeros and ones. You have seen electronic weighing scales, digital thermometers, digital calculators, digital watches. People have been using it day in and day out. So that's nothing great, nothing exciting about it. The word transformation adds the spice. Why? Because what is transformation? If you change the way you are working, so change the way you are banking, change the way you book a ticket, change the way you date, change the way you create friendship. Okay, anything which you do differently from what you have been conventionally doing, that's transformation. And if you do this transformation leveraging digital technologies, that's called digital transformation. So that's the reimagining of the digital age, right? So now I presume, and I'm right as well, that most of you are CXOs. You either run your own businesses or you are in an influential senior management position in your organization. So you will have this question that Viral, why us? What do we are doing fine? Everything is going on well. But then I deciphered this when I actually mined it through my interactions with CEOs. I found out that the typical CEO dilemmas are consisting of these points. CEOs need a sounding board. They need to talk to someone so that their ideas can get validated. CEOs always need agile response. If they have a bright idea, they need someone to implement it without ifs and buts. CEO also wants experimentation before he arrives at a final decision. CEO actually loves to take a data-driven decision, not a data-confirmed decision. And CEO needs resilience in his operations. That means just one failure should not put everything down. CEO also wants to stay current. And obviously the last one, I'm sure that mostly all forward-looking CEOs believe in transparency, and they want all operations to be transparently known, including successes and failures. Now, if your dilemmas are similar to these, which I am sure they are, then you need to rethink at your operations, which means that there is a time to embrace digital at a new scale. Why digital makes most sense now? See, current adversities have forced all businesses to think digital and become location and person independent. You agree with me? Right. Also, we need to be immune to crash of one service line. Suppose one type of working, if in-room dining is not possible, then quickly ramp up for a delivery-based model. See, that's a new service line with the same product, a simple way of explanation. Then you need to be agile to adopt alternate supply chain. Again, same thing. You know, even small kirana wallas have started using WhatsApp for their supply chain. Then, or for that matter, even, you know, large e-commerce websites, they also have changed their delivery model. So there are options available in few cities where instead of door delivery, you can actually pick up delivery from the local kirana store who acts like a local hub. So that way the cost of delivery is reduced and even the cost is passed on to the customer. It might not have happened in many cities, but yeah, that's the trend which is happening. And now there is an awareness for what is called touchless authentications and responsible consumption. You know, you go to some superstore and now you will see shop responsibly. Very right. Because see, you need to only stock what is necessary. But why people stock more? because they had no visibility of future. So if you are able to provide visibility of future, then nobody would like to stock things and lock their capital. That's a hard fact. So if for a little bit, if all of us are convinced that yes, digital journey has to be taken up, then what are the logical steps? First and foremost, which I normally say, agree on your intent and outcome. Why you want to do digital and what you want to achieve. That clarity has to be there. Then please identify the areas for transformation. See, not everything can be transformed. Your business functions will have a lot of things which need to remain traditional, but some things need to be transformed. So please identify area. Then assemble high impact team. A focused, delivery oriented, goal oriented team is necessary. Then you assess your readiness. Obviously, not every company has an appetite to do 100% transformation. Sequence and time the events and then run it like an enterprise program. So this is not typically all consultants talk, so I also added that slide. So now what are the intents for a CEO to do digital transformation? Obviously revenue, customer centricity, and operational excellence. So there are some external facing and some internal facing goals which help an organization to decide the candidature for digital transformation. Obviously, everybody wants to grow business, reduce risk, improve employee engagement, improve productivity. All that is there. And people do everything possible. And then these things do happen if you have a competent team. But if team has the right tools, if they have a platform which is conducive, which is agile, then things work faster. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize. So what are various digital ambitions for a CEO? Overhauling of processes, overhauling of operations, and overhaul of relationships with customers. So the great digital gamble talks of unification, connection, high-speed delivery, empowerment, and start small, learn fast, scale quick. See, there was a time when people used to talk of first time right. Have you heard of this term? Now people are telling, fail fast, recover fast. Don't worry of perfection. Perfection is actually enemy. So what is required is do something which works. If you fail, learn and move fast. That's the new way of working. Now, how do you do that? If you don't have a platform, you won't be able to do that. So some essential blocks of digital transformation. And this also was a stark reality. Most of the CEOs thought, and they were actually hesitant of taking digital transformation because they thought it is a technology intensive subject. It is not. The essential blocks of digital transformation, if you see, technology is just one piece. It talks of agility, process, culture, risk appetite, operating model. And finally, yes, what you are going to achieve is good experiences, innovation culture, and adaptability. So obviously the pivot is leadership, which is what is necessary. But I wanted this message to be given loud and clear that technology is a very small element in digital transformation. So don't hesitate to take it up, even if you know that your existing setup or teams are not capable of taking new technologies. That should not be a deterrent. So now important point is who should lead digital? I believe that top down is the right approach, but a digital leader has to be a C-level executive who has customer facing experience, who can get into customer shoes. He must be able to understand and appreciate technology, right? And he must have what is called cultural diversity traits, agile mindset, and outcome focused, not output focused. This is an interesting statement. How many of you have teams which are output focused? जो काम दिया हमने कर दिया. Rather, if it is outcome focused, suppose, do you have a culture where your team asks you, क्यों करने को बोल रहे हो? Why we should do that? And then once they understand why it is required, they work wholehearted to do that. And they don't just follow a cookie cutter approach that because next step has to be this, because bosses told me to do this, do that. So that's also change of culture. So now you will understand why in digital, even culture plays a major role. And I have been talking a lot of agile. So you might be worried about why agile word is coming too often. I will tell you the reason for it. So there are various terms people use. These are mainly prevalent for large organizations, CIO, CDO, CMO, COO, CEO, right? The various fancy titles. So who should lead? Someone who has these above characteristics. So the leadership traits have to be, you have to be user centric. You need to develop that what is called Silicon Valley culture. It doesn't mean come in shorts in the work, but have a hierarchy less organization structure. Have an adaptive performance management system, not something which is whatever is told, if it is done 100% marks. That doesn't work nowadays. Embrace failure. Be tolerant to imperfection. I have seen some very progressive organizations who celebrate failure. They have an award for failures. Why? Because failures teach you. Failures also help you to be bold enough to accept that and experiment. Because if you don't experiment, you will do what you have been doing. Why a lot of processes are archaic? Why processes don't change? Because they are actually totally, they accumulate fat which comes from experience. And that makes process very, very difficult to change. So I normally don't encourage people to directly automate a process. Because if you automate a bad process, you get a faster bad process. That's a big problem, right? So sense of purpose, all CEOs, they believe in 3 R's: revenue, risk, and reputation, nothing else. If that is handled, they don't care for other things. So for a digital pursuit, you need to ask these probing questions to yourself. Do you want to increase your revenue? Do you want to bring seamlessness and automation in your business processes? Do you want stakeholder ecosystem to be paperless and efficient? Or do you want to imbibe a mobile ready and self-service culture? Now, last point is important. See, many of you, I think if you are all at my age limit, then after say 4 or 5 years, we will be extinct species in corporate world. Corporate is going to be ruled by millennials. And have you seen millennials thinking patterns? Your kids, the way they think is very different from way you thought. Their interaction with you is very different from the way you interacted with your parents. They are little more focused. They have very clear views, and they don't take up job just because it is high paying or it is from in a fancy office. They take up job because it has a sense of purpose. So these people can't be bound by the rules and policies which were created in 70s and 80s. So you need to change. Now today you just can't change a paper policy unless you have a platform to support. That's another candidate to tell you why digital transformation is important. So now if we are all convinced that yes, we should embark on digital transformation, so which are the possible areas of targets? Some names. I think you can add a lot more, but from an external perspective, do you want to add a new line of business, improved customer experience, retrofit of existing delivery, or you have to do a better market outreach? Or internal, do you want to improve your employee experience, productivity, better utilization? Or from a brand positioning, geo flexibility, early mover advantage, if you want to take, then these are the things. And you know why we leverage technology to its fullest? You know, television, when it was first invented, to reach 10 million marks, I think it took many, many years, 30 years or so. But a Pokemon Go, it only took few hours to reach 10 million marks. Not because Pokemon Go is so popular. It's just because reach is now speeded because of digital, right? So steps to take for digital transformation. Obviously, you start with platforms, you start with process, then you core zero down on technology. I never insist on technology to be the first one. I always tell CEOs that don't be slaves to technology. Let technology be your slave. And all this is engulfed into what is called culture. I told you about some of those cultural traits. So cultural transformation itself will be a big program. Whether you are a small organization or large, you need to take it up, right? Okay. So now let me take you through this journey of what is a typical IT setup. See, I'm sure you all would have actually heard of this or you would have even experienced this in your office. So what happens in a typical corporate setup? You have this so many servers and systems which are just organically grown from starting from zero. So system 1, system 2, system 3, they have a lot of external inputs and internal inputs. Then there is a customer support which is defragmented. So some systems are supported, some are not. Then you generate an MIS. So MIS comes directly from system from some of these, And for some, there are those power users. So, special users who can directly approach the power center, that is CEO, and directly report de dete hain. Okay. So now reporting which happens to CEO is through multiple sources, and there is no single version of truth, right? And as you add systems, it complicates things further. Now imagine if you want to suddenly change a business process, then IT will come and say, sir, ye nahi ho sakta because this server has to be changed. Again, it goes into CapEx. Or because this process is linked to this other thing, I have a problem. So these things finally lead to this. It leads to a spaghetti. You don't know which end starts, which end ends. And so things go only based on gut feel. And while CEO could be very, very open to technology change or system change, because he has to run business, he finally relies on one or two those confidants who provide him all information through their Excel sheet. So ERP systems are there, but Excels are the decision makers. So now, after some time, your CFO will start telling, why did we make so much of investment when Excel can do everything, right? Does it sound familiar to many of you? If yes, then that's the main problem of current architecture and why people need to change to digital. So there is a radical shift. Little bit I talked, I'll go a little faster on this, that earlier always insistence was on robustness. Now it is on adaptiveness. Earlier, architecture always supported business innovation. Now, architecture enables innovation. There was a full control of IT. Now, there is a necessity to leverage partner ecosystem. Earlier, people used to believe in proven solutions to be bought. Now, you can do experimental things also. Fail proof. Now, it is fail fast and recover fast. I did explain you this. So, a very, very high level. Again, I don't want to bug you with technology stuff. But in a digital transformation, how a high level schema works. So you have this what is called base platform, which is agile and secure. And then you have these small customer apps, customer centric apps. So instead of one big system, which we call monolithic system, which has everything, now people are talking of function oriented, dedicated apps, which work independently, but they are integrated. Then above that, you have what is called artificial intelligence and blockchain that creates a glue. Then you have a decision support system and then security wrapper, and that's how decisions are taken. If you see on side, culture and risk appetite always ensure that this governance framework remains intact. So what is the long and short of this? You need a platform on which all these various utensils can be placed here and there. And then you need applications which can be started and shut down as and when required. And all these things must have a common layer from where decision support is taken. Doesn't it sound interesting? It is. Now, does it mean that you need to throw everything away? No, you can slowly start, but at least have this thinking that this is my end state of affairs, which I want to achieve, right? So agility, you heard me talk of agility too much. So what is agility actually? It's the ability to quickly respond to changing environmental scenarios with uncompromising focus on business outcome. Your ability to quickly respond to external stimuli is what is agility. Now it needs responsiveness, adaptability, and flexibility, obviously. So in software, there is a concept called agile development, which means unlike a typical case where user gives requirement, then software guy will write down everything, make a program, and then deliver. And if user finds a problem, it goes into a change request, and again they start delivering. That's a waterfall mechanism. What is now required is agile approach. So instead of taking requirements upfront and delivering on it, you create small teams which has a user involved. And then you create small modules of your application and you keep on iterating, experiment, and see if it works or it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, change it. And after all these various modules are made, then you integrate them and make the full application. A very different concept. I hope you are understanding what I'm trying to say. So that's the mindset change which is happening. Now, again, we will not get into the technology aspects. There are many things to be done, but at least to start with, if your teams adopt an agile approach, it makes a lot of differences, right? Now, many times what has happened is that your IT team will say that I can't change because my server is limited, or my server is having this OS, we can't do this. There are a lot of limitations which come from infrastructure. So infrastructure also needs agility now. So what is digital requirement? You digital friendly platform has to be able to host new age applications. It has to be elastic. Elastic means grow when you grow. If you shrink, it should shrink. And then what is called secure, scalable, and manageable. It has to be user friendly. Now what happens is, you would have heard of this word called cloud, right? Now the cloud, people say cloud pe chale jao. Now it is not easy. It's not that you take your machine and move it to cloud. So what I have shown you here is the typical picture of a water cycle. Water cycle में क्या होता है? Water evaporates, then it creates cloud, and then cloud rains back and water comes again. Same thing happens in a cloud technology. Cloud will not rain unless it evaporates something from you. Got it? Which means that whatever you had existing will have to be change its form. So your water will have to become steam, then steam will have to become a cloud, and then cloud will, based on external stimuli like temperature, when it reduces, then it will start raining. So cloud, from a concept wise, I'm sure that you must be aware, but what is cloud? Like Amazon is a cloud, Google is a cloud. So cloud is all these computers are there in data center, and for a user, they don't know where they are connecting, just like cloud. You don't know where are you connected, but you are able to get everything. So in backend, whatever happens is happening. So now what happens is, you don't need to invest into things. Now why people go for say Gmail or Gmail based solutions? Because you don't need to install your email servers in home or in your office. So you are using a cloud service provider. Okay, there are many other cloud options, but cloud is the first and foremost necessity for you to start your digital transformation. And I'll tell you why. Cloud, number one, it gives you flexibility, but flexibility comes in form of what? Like, you know, these bus services, like Pune to Rajkot, there are a lot of bus operators. Now, what is bus? Bus is a cloud. Instead of you having your own vehicle, you're taking a seat. So you are paying less, but when you take a seat in a bus, then you comply with buses regulation. So little bit, so it forces you to be disciplined. So that's the advantage of cloud. See, in your in-house system, you do whatever you want. And that is where the problem starts. The way the flexibility has been misused, and people have been using systems left, right, and center. That has created a problem where they are getting into a point of no return. So slowly they need to now regularize, go on to cloud, regularize themselves, create applications which are accessible across the world in a secure fashion, and then slowly start delivering their agile decision making things. It also means that you need an agile organization. You would have, if I just ask you that create an organization structure, how would you do? Under CEO, you will say an IT guy, a finance guy, a HR guy. These are all, you know, typical vertical organization structures. The new age organization structures are slice and dice, what we call matrix structures. So here I have given an example of an IT structure, but same thing can be replicated for what you call any organization. So what it means is that all the CXOs and CIOs, they are at the decision making triangle. And then everything at a horizontal layer, your common services. So these are shared services. They provide only service. So service needs an input and an output. They don't care. They don't have sentiment for that particular product. So those services remain unbiased. Now what is important is all these other different colored blocks is, they show an orientation for a product. Now to give you an example, there could be a bank which has what is called retail banking, credit card, insurance. These are various products of that bank. So for each product, there are functionally oriented teams. So the teams will have a developer, an IT guy, even a business guy working. So business guy, because he deals with customers, he knows what customers want. So he will create application and he will own what it means. IT provides support, And IT will also provide input about what works, what doesn't work. So it's like one team. And at the end of the day, who is responsible for uptime or downtime? That business leader. So now business leader owns entire value chain, and IT also doesn't feel let down. In the current model, you know what is happening? Business guy will simply become a customer to IT. Things are not working, he will pound on IT, say system nahi chal rahi hai, up karke do. So pressure goes on IT, and IT keeps on only getting run state, only operations. And then after some time, they will be branded inefficient. Then you replace some guy, that other guy also struggles, and story continues. The real problem is not in capacity or capability. The real problem is in the organization structure. So we come to some of this technology. So now you know you need agility, you need the platform to be agile, you need the organization structure to be agile. I talked of what are the various elements, the softer elements like culture and the risk appetite. Organizations have to have a stance. If they want to take risk, are they forward, are they proactive or reactive? Every organization is a different stance. So based on stance, your risk appetite should change. Every topic can be dwelled further. But here I want to leave you with some of these colored boxes, which are various technology elements. You know, AI, ML, that means artificial intelligence and machine learning. Then RPA, robotic process automation. IoT, another word which is very, very prevalent and famous nowadays. That is in the Internet of Things. Then 5G, it's coming big way. And mobility, obviously, you know. So we might not touch about everything because every topic is a 1 hour subject by itself, but a little bit about artificial intelligence, because I thought that many CEOs have this curiosity about what is this AI. Like one CEO very smartly also told me that I believe in natural stupidity, not artificial intelligence. He is right. At least in natural stupidity, things are in your control. AI, what machine does, you have no control. That's what is the general thing. So now why this word came up and some definitions, just in case you are not aware, just to make it a little more clear to you. So simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think like humans and mimic their actions. Now, believe me, with all due regards to IT guys, I was also an IT guy all my life. IT programs are the stupidest thing I have ever seen in life. What IT does? Garbage in, garbage out. What data you give in, you get an output. So programs are pre-programmed. They have a logic. Whatever you take in, it gives you an output, irrespective of if there is a change in business scenario or change in input. For that, you need to again process a program. You agree with me? So what was the need? How a human brain is different from a computer? Human brain, while you are doing some task, if you see that some action is requiring urgent reaction, then human brain will do. A simple example, you are counting notes and suddenly someone puts a hot pan under your seat. What will you do? Will you keep counting notes or you will get up? You will get up. Why? Because you had an external stimuli. You were able to respond to something else. Or if someone screams in your mother tongue, then you will look there and stop counting for some time. So these ability, what is called cognitive capabilities, that means you're acquiring knowledge through experience, thought, and sensory inputs, was missing in computer systems. So that is what AI is trying to do. I hope I made it clearer for you. So how AI works, artificial intelligence. So you have a system which is in the first form, it is like a computer program. So it is programmed to do some things. Now what happens further? You need to teach this to understand what it means. So how do you teach? By giving it input, by giving them some instructions, by making them work on something. And once they deliver an output, you can give feedback whether it's right or wrong. So it will learn. So next time it will not do the same stage. Similar to how a kid learns. So imagine a AI program on day one is like a newborn kid. Slowly it learns something, so that they know what is mama, papa, what is do. They will understand all these things. After some time, they will also know that we should not touch a hot thing. What happens? So they will start learning. And that's how a system gets developed. So machine learning, deep learning, these are all various mechanisms of teaching it. I hope you are understanding this. So now imagine a self-driven car. It is an AI engine. How does it work? So it is a car. It is first programmed to do some things. That means it knows that, yeah, if there is a red light, you have to stop. It is this. In the first instance, even if someone flashes a red torchlight somewhere on the road, it would have stopped. Why? Because that was the program. Then it realizes that no, it has to be of this shape, this size, only you're on this road. Then next time it will take care of all these things. So it's a big science. It's a big science, and that's growing very well. So you know what happens as a CEO? You want a unbiased input which comes from very intelligent source. The problem with humans is, I am also human, and I believe that, yeah, human jobs should not be replaced by AI, which they will not. But humans always add a tinge of politics into everything, and that affects decision making. So if you want to take a fair decision, then you need to rely on things like AI. And that's what I'm trying to say. Again, AI is not away from its own controversies. I remember a case which was actually published in somewhere, but you know how it works. You need ethics is very important in AI. So who is responsible in an AI action? Is it the person who taught it? Because that is not the only answer. AI might learn itself, then what to do? So I'll give you a simple example. There is a self-driven car which is going on road. It's going at a fixed speed and it knows where to go. And so it has its map and it is aligned. Now, suddenly the car finds that there's a person standing on side of the road, but 4 people are suddenly crossing the road. They are not supposed to cross the road, but they are crossing. Now, what will this car do? Car has to take 1 or 2 action. Either save 4 people or save 1 person. If it saves 4 person, then the person who was actually following rules get killed. So what should they do? Right? So these are the elements where that human touch will be missing. Okay. Sometimes some actions are taken by AI which are not very compassionate. So that again, it needs fresh learning, but damage is already done. So AI will need refinement. It will need good people to teach it. So when someone asks me that, Viral, will people lose their job because of AI? Which type of jobs will be lost? So my answer is all types of jobs which are used to doing repetitive tasks, which know that reproducible results are predictable. If your job is continuously doing same thing without applying too much of brain, then those jobs will soon be replaced by AI. You need people, but now people's bandwidth is required to take much important and strategic decisions and leave the basic stuff, basic logic to a machine. And that's where AI plays a role. Okay, we can dwell deep into it, but I am conscious of the time, so I don't want to take it further over there. So finally, the target areas. So as CEO, if you think market share is your target area, then what you need from digital technologies? If customer loyalty is your target area, what you need? Employee engagement, if it's your target area, then which type of tools and technologies are available? There is a full bouquet of services available in digital technologies. It's up to you how to pick and choose what and how to get it implemented right for you. Never become slave of what technology can do. Just because technology works this way, you should not change. You should make technology change for you. So if we go a little bit quickly, if I just need to summarize what are the success factors for a digital transformation, application of AI comes first. Then the scale of implementation, the capabilities and agility, the seamlessness. I would say radical focus on customer is very important. Then you need a top-down as well as outcome-oriented leadership, right? That these are the points. There are some mistakes which people make during digital transformation. First mistake is lack of clarity between what is transformation and automation. I tried to explain you. We can discuss it during the question and answer. And if there is too much of focus on internal processes, that also is a big mistake. Then your siloed approach, right? Your cookie cutter approach, lack of clarity on KPIs. See, your KPI cannot be that I will automate all my processes. Your KPI has to be my customer retention factor should be improved by 5% or 10%. These type of, when business KPIs come to even IT guys, then things will change. Then if there is a culture and policy misalignment, then also big problem. I have seen that organizations where policy violations take more place, those organizations cannot actually, cannot actually get into digital transformation mode. So if you have an organization where every policy violation or every policy bypass can happen with CEO's signature, then that's a wrong candidate. Okay. What is not digital transformation? It's not an expected solution for all ailments. Just because things are not working, you can't say, chalo, digital transformation karte. It's not a sure shot alternative also. It's not a model which will give you tangible ROI. It's a journey. You need to start. So what are the words again? I will repeat. Agility. You need to develop agility. Now, agility just not in mindset, in your actions, in your processes, in your systems, for which you need a good platform. That is what digital transformation is, right? You can't have pockets of brilliance. That's not digital transformation. And it is not at all an IT driven initiative. IT plays a role, but yes, IT plays a role more mainly from an advisory perspective. So key learnings, you have to have an impact on processes and operations. Culture is at the heart. Upskilling everybody is not possible. Then you have to have a good strategic vision. Now don't get wedded to your past baggage and take broad view of customer demand. So what has to be avoided? Please avoid what is called digital lipstick syndrome. You know what is digital lipstick syndrome? Have you seen that photograph where suddenly, I'm not saying that lipstick is something to make things look beautiful. Just an example from a perspective. You can't just do a makeup on something which doesn't have good processes inside. You can't show off something by telling it's now improved, right? That's the exact. And you need to experiment. Legacy assets will slow down. And normally what happens, people who have built assets, and in many SMEs, I have seen that there are dedicated staff who have been there with them for 20, 25 years. They have built system from scratch. So they have that tendency, मैं था जब ये तो खाली 2 room में चलते थे, right? So he has a sense of ownership, which is fine, but you can't have it for the systems which you built 20 years back. So you need to be data driven. You need to hire digital natives. Elements of digital have spread everywhere into society. So you have digital health, digital security, digital responsibility, literacy, behavior, access, money. Everywhere digital has played a role, and these can't work in silos. You need a good framework. Post-COVID, what will be the trends? As you all know, digital tools are getting that much desired tag of being necessity and not nice to have. Now, automation initiatives are taken up for cost and safety reasons as well. There will be times, even after everything becomes normal, there are many offices which would say that 30% staff can always work from home. Why? Because physical presence is no longer a necessity for business operations. And agile decision making is now becoming a norm and rightly supported by digital platforms. So what should be the strategy for new normal, and especially for CEOs like you? Please find a good digital native partner. Use right and intelligent digital tools. Embrace technology options. You will learn many things. See, internet is full of good knowledge. But only thing, when you can map that knowledge with what I tried to tell, then you will be able to understand and appreciate it clearly. And please reward innovations and celebrate failures. With that, I would end here with this last slide, and so that we are open for some questions if we have time. So world is right now distributed among these 5 clouds. There are so-called digital ignorants who think that we are fine the way we are. Chal raha hai. There are some digital positives who have realized that yes, going digital is fine, but how to take that first step? Bahut technology hai. Then there are some digital natives which are born digital. I just mentioned, they don't think anything other than digital. So digital natives and digital positives, when they take the journey, after some time, some people become digitally confused. These are the ones, they don't know how to take next steps. Why they became confused? Because maybe their risk appetite was low. Their CFO started asking them for the ROI for the investment done and they don't have an answer. Or suddenly business conditions change from the way they were thinking. So they were not agile enough. So they got confused. And some are mature. So my job, like I am on a mission to convert ignorance to positive and confused to mature. Now I would like you to do an introspection and find out which cloud do you fit in and where do you want to go, right? Thank you so much. I hope that I was able to do justice in this 1 hour. We have many more things to talk, but for the lack of time, I will not be able to take too many things. Thank you. Over to you, Forum.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Viral Bhai. You have totally used the layman language. And for the beginners, it's very easy to understand what you have shown in this 1 hour. I would request if somebody is here who are running businesses and who wants to say something or wants to ask something, you can unmute your mic and just directly, like, what I would ask is that you better suggest us, like, after finishing this webinar, what are the first 3 things one can do to just initiate this digital transformation process, so that
Yeah,
that you can answer at
yeah.
last.
Forum.
uh,
Even I had a question.
Yeah.
On similar lines. Virubai, we had a fantastic discussion. I have a small query that what would be the first step? You know, if there is a small company, SME, or a
Yeah.
startup,
Hmm.
what is the first step? Is it ERP? Can we count it as the first step towards digital transformation, or your advice is something else?
Okay. So Dharmesh bhai, I think a very valid question, and this is typically what each business leader was facing always. So I would say that first is intent and outcome have to be clarified. Why you want to do digital? See, don't do it for pressures.
Okay.
Okay. So first list down what are your current drawbacks, what are your current pain points, and then try to see whether these things can be solved. ERP is the last thing to be touched. That's technology. I told you that technology has to be your slave. If you get into ERP implementation first, then what will happen is, because of your limitations of ERP, a lot of process change can't happen. You want to do this, but ERP is not able to do that.
Correct.
Right? So it's always better to clear your intent,
Okay.
agree on
Okay.
outcome, and
Okay.
then take the steps further. That would be my simple advice. More, I think we can also take offline. You can call me sometimes. I'll help you. Yeah.
And one more question that might help everybody here is, do you recommend any specific reading? You know, if we want to have more understanding about digital transformation, do you recommend any reading?
Frankly speaking, there are loads of books. I also learned through various things. Okay.
Right.
Now, if you have taken a LinkedIn, what you call professional license, then the LinkedIn Learning is a good tool. See,
Okay.
reading alone might not help, because reading will tell you, there are good books. I can recommend some of those, but
Okay.
I learned through the practical experience only.
Right.
Either you will either swayed by too much of technology topics. Suppose you read a book on AI, then you will feel like, let's make a James Bond movie, right?
True.
Which might not be practical. So it's
True.
always better to go slow and then understand. So what I also tried to attempt is, I didn't sway you with a lot of technology terms. I just wanted to focus on. So digital transformation is all about agility. There is one book which I recommend, Measure What Matters. Very good book.
Okay. Right.
It's not about digital, but it's about the way your organization should have KPIs, the key performance indicators.
Okay.
Forum, did I answer your question also?
Yes, sure. We have like Chitendra Bhai, Ketan Bhai, Pankaj Mittal. Would you like to take Raju Bhai Haryani with us? Like, he's our council member. Would you like to take some questions? You can unmute your mic, and if you want to have some discussion with Viral Bhai.
Hello.
You can introduce your own company, maybe. You can.
Yeah.
Good evening to all. Viral bhai, nice presentation with sharing the practical experiences,
Thank you.
and we like to meet whenever you are available at Rajkot.
Very much. Yes, I will.
Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So maybe I can take liberty of asking one more question if there is no question coming up.
Yeah.
One thing which was really interesting, and I would like to know more if time permits, is you said that culture and risk appetite, they are very important with regard to digital transformation.
Yeah.
So if you can give some insight on that.
See, if I talk point blank, there are cultures where you say every decision is taken by one guy, superpower.
Right.
So what happens is everybody else is only a mute spectator. So in such companies, what happens is people start getting that feeling कि यार जो बोला है करो, problem होगा that I am not responsible.
True.
So then people become followers. Right? So followers just do. There is no sense of innovation. So ideas come from various sources. Unless you have 360-degree perspective, so it doesn't change. Right? So that's the first thing. Now, how do you change? Normally, ERPs are one reason why a lot of things become rigid. Because ERP can only do this way. You can't change it. Right? And culture-wise, and I think both are related. And so risk appetite, if you see, some organizations or some leaders have this concept. Ki bhaiya, what they say, that I want results. I don't want to listen bad news. Okay? So there again, that fear psychosis makes people not take any extra decision.
Right. Now, even that you use that word called outcome is better than output.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really amazing.
And then
So,
that makes a lot of change. See, even software programs are output focused. The moment we convert to outcome, a lot of things change. But outcome, a user, a junior person cannot become outcome focused if manager is insisting, what I say, do. Don't ask more questions. If that is the culture, then things will not work.
Yes. And even here there is a risk, because you are giving a lot of authority to some juniors when you are saying that, okay, you have liberty to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's where maybe there is some risk involved as well.
Right. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
There is one question from Jitendra Vora. Sir, if you can, I can read out the question, but if you want to introduce yourself and then you can take the question, that will be better. Like, we are also having few council members we know, but still we have like names which we don't know. We'll like to connect deeper to that level. So if you can please unmute your mic and introduce yourself, and then Viral Bhai will share one good. So he's asking about good case study.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you listen? Yeah. I'm Jitendra Bora.
Yes.
A retired general manager from JNFC Bharuch.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. So some time back, I was heading IT department of our sister concern, Narmada Kamathur Petrochemical Limited, NCPL, which was subsequently merged with JNFC. So while doing digitization, I will just share a few experiences.
Yeah.
We could integrate many things which were not simply available in ERP.
Yes.
Like in a process plant, we do a lot of analysis, chemical analysis, and there are various laboratories and all that. And some places we do automatic analysis, some places the people take physical sample and then do it in the lab. Now we could develop a program ourselves to integrate all these things, which was simply not available in any good ERP. And this helped a lot of our manpower, and this really helped in quality controls of our finished products. So when we similarly, those time back, people were against email. Even email, they used to take a hard copy and then write comment on the hard copy and all those things. So we started teaching them, training them, and then slowly they understood the real benefits of the IT. and that transformed the people, their thinking, their collaborative nature was improved and all that. And what you very rightly mentioned, from the pyramidal structure of the organization, we could go for a flat architecture,
Yep.
where even some of the department, very, let's say, designation point of view, some junior level also is able to head that department and integrate with senior level executives and all that. So now my question is, can you share some good case study where this has really helped and which could be a benchmarking?
See, again, I have a lot of case studies, but yeah, because I will not name organizations because that's not right on the forum over here because they were not created by me. But yes, see, if you see, the core of any digital transformation is your intention. So your intention can be either better customer experience or improving your top line, right? If these two are your main focus, then people take up. Now, which are the industries which are very, very customer centric? One is retail, one is BFSI or telecom for that matter. So in a banking sector, imagine there are banks which are purely digital bank, no physical branch.
Right.
So like eKYC is a good digital transformation initiative. Now there is a possibility that using AI, you can create digital financial advisors. So that AI bot will understand your transactions, understand your savings pattern, and can suggest where you should invest, where you should take out money. So you don't need physical guides.
Right.
What? So now
right.
Imagine that you have these applications for your car booking, cab booking. Now
Right.
Imagine there is an application where it is for truckers. So when a trucker is driving, and then you have an AI engine who, based on the gestures and the actions of driver, can detect whether now driver is overstretched or not. So it will give signal to the main office and tell driver to stop at some place and take rest. You can prevent accidents.
Right. Correct. Perfectly correct.
Right? Now you go to a retail shop. So retail shop problem is many retail shops, you have a physical presence different and the online presence is different. Now, can you bring seamlessness into it? So now you have seen some of these people where you want to buy a dress, but you can't try it out. So you stand in front of that. The machine will take your dimensions and suggest and this is the size, and this size will look like this for you. You don't need to physically wear.
Correct.
So see it gives you that wow factor so that someone reaches you better.
Correct. Thank you. Thanks a lot. It's a very nice presentations.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Is there any other question, or should we wrap up? But it was nice. You explained it in a very layman language. Like we have 2 to 3 students here as well, who were attendees in previous sessions. But though it was in a very simple language that everybody can understand and can digest.
No, forum, there the secret is I myself am a layman, so I will speak in layman language.
Yes, thank you so much, Viral bhai.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. And yes, looking forward to any more queries or any questions, or happy to take up any repeat sessions for some particular topic as and when you wish. Okay.
Sure. And
Thank
Viral
you
bhai
so much, Viral bhai.
mentioned his email ID and contact details in the chat box. You can just copy paste that. And tomorrow we have a session on investments, personal financial management. And if you need, so stay tuned with that. We have sessions till 22nd. On last day we have a conference on quality management. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Viral bhai.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Good day. Bye.
Take care. Bye.